Ladies and gentlemen,
In a world that constantly encourages external validation, noisy communication, and relentless comparison, the idea of turning inward, focusing on oneself and embracing silence, might seem counterintuitive. Yet, it's in this internal focus and strategic silence that we often discover our true strength, align with our deeper purpose, and find a natural flow in life where everything begins to fall into place. This article explores the power of self-focus and silence, and how these two principles can dramatically shift your mindset, your energy, and ultimately your reality. We'll uncover the psychological, emotional, spiritual, and practical benefits of this lifestyle and how you can embody it in your daily life. The noise of the world. From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with notifications, messages, opinions, comparisons, and distractions. Social media platforms paint perfect pictures of others' lives. News outlets flood us with anxiety-inducing headlines. Friends and family offer unsolicited advice. Society teaches us to speak up, to react, to compete, to prove ourselves. But what if the constant need to engage, to respond, to explain is the very thing that's draining our energy and delaying our progress? Silence and self-focus become powerful when we realize how much energy we waste trying to control the uncontrollable, people's opinions, social dynamics, or future outcomes, the art of self-focus. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean becoming self-centered or ignoring others. It means putting your emotional, mental, and spiritual health first. It's about aligning with your inner truth, your goals, and your vision for life. When you focus on yourself, you stop comparing your journey with others. You gain clarity about what truly matters to you. You begin to notice your habits, patterns, and thoughts and how they shape your reality. You start healing parts of yourself that you've neglected for too long. Self-focus is a form of radical responsibility. It's saying, I'm the author of my story, and I choose to write a better chapter, starting with me. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. In silence, we process emotions. In silence, we hear our intuition. In silence, we build discipline, power, and perspective. Consider how much energy goes into explaining yourself, defending your actions, or trying to be understood. Now imagine reclaiming that energy and using it to build your vision, your skills, and your peace of mind. Silence helps you rise above drama, detachment, and distractions. You don't need to comment on everything. You don't need to share every thought. You don't need to respond to every provocation. Sometimes, the best response is no response. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you begin developing emotional independence. You stop being affected by the highs and lows of external approval. This is incredibly liberating. You understand that your happiness is your responsibility. That your growth is in your hands. That your worth doesn't increase or decrease based on someone else's opinion. Emotionally independent people are unshakable. They can walk away from toxic environments without a word. They can say no without guilt. They can hold their power in silence. The magic of alignment. When you stop trying to control others and start focusing on controlling yourself, you move into alignment. You begin to attract opportunities that match your energy. Relationships that respect your boundaries. Situations that elevate your growth. Inner peace that isn't tied to outcomes. Alignment happens when your actions, thoughts, and emotions are working together toward a higher purpose. This alignment is not forced, it flows. And ironically, the more you let go of chasing things, the more they come to you. Protecting your peace. One of the most profound lessons you'll learn is that not everything deserves your attention. Protecting your peace becomes more important than proving a point. Some people thrive on conflict. Some situations are designed to test your ego. But when you focus on yourself, you start to recognize these traps for what they are, distractions. You don't rise by reacting. You rise by responding with wisdom or not responding at all. Your peace is sacred. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Reclaiming your power. Every time you focus outward on who hurt you, who's watching you, who's doubting you, you give away your power. But when you turn inward and focus on your goals, your healing, your silence, you reclaim that power. You stop explaining. You start embodying. You stop talking. You start transforming. Powerful people aren't loud, they're intentional. They speak less and do more. They don't announce their plans, they show results. When you're focused and silent, you become a force of nature. Mysterious. Unpredictable. Unstoppable. The beauty of solitude. Solitude is often misunderstood. It's not loneliness, it's a sacred space for growth, reflection, and realignment. When you embrace solitude, you deepen your self-awareness. Detach from unhealthy attachments. Reset your nervous system. Discover what truly fulfills you. Many breakthroughs happen when you're alone. In silence. Without the noise. Without the need to be seen or heard. Solitude builds clarity. Clarity breeds power. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you also develop patience. You stop forcing things. You start trusting timing. Not everything needs to happen now. Not everything will make sense immediately. Some things need time, silence, and surrender. What's meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you is never meant for you. When you truly understand this, you stop chasing and start attracting. Trust that if you keep showing up for yourself quietly, consistently, and deliberately, everything will fall into place exactly as it should. The shift in energy. As your focus shifts inward, so does your energy. You no longer feel drained by external drama. You feel grounded in your own frequency. This shift is magnetic. People notice your peace. Your glow. Your calmness. They feel your energy without you having to speak. You stop needing to convince anyone of your worth because your presence alone speaks volumes. When your energy is right, everything aligns around you. It's not magic, it's mindset, discipline, and a deep connection with your highest self. Building in silence. There's something sacred about building in silence, your body, your business, your mindset, your goals. You don't need applause. You need progress. You don't need to broadcast your every move. You need focus, discipline, and momentum. In the age of oversharing, silence becomes your superpower. You move quietly, but with power. You grow steadily, but without distraction. And when the results finally show, they speak louder than any words ever could. The peace in letting go. Focusing on yourself and staying silent also means letting go of grudges, of expectations, of the need to be understood. You understand that not everything deserves closure. Not every chapter needs to be rewritten. Some things are better left unsaid. You let go of controlling how others see you. You let go of explaining your silence. You let go of forcing outcomes. And in that letting go, you find peace. The warrior within. When you stay silent and focused, you develop warrior energy. Not aggressive, but powerful. Not loud, but unshakable. You move with grace. You carry wisdom. You radiate confidence that comes from knowing who you are. The world no longer defines you. The noise no longer distracts you. You've built an inner fortress that no one can shake. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you don't just change your life, you inspire others. Your peace becomes a mirror for others to reflect on their own chaos. Your discipline challenges others to level up. Your silence becomes a reminder that strength doesn't always shout. Without even trying, you become a leader. A light. A blueprint for others seeking peace, purpose, and power. Daily practices to embody this mindset. To truly live this philosophy, here are some daily practices. Start your day with silence, no phone, no noise. Just breathe, reflect, and ground yourself. Protect your mental space. Not everything needs your attention. Learn to say no without explanation. Guard your time and energy. Reflect on your emotions, goals, and growth without judgment. Move your body without distraction. Let your mind decompress. Repeat phrases like I am at peace, I trust the timing, or I focus on what I can control. Schedule days to unplug completely. Spend time alone on purpose.
Get comfortable in your own company. Focusing on yourself and staying silent is not a trend, it's a timeless philosophy. It's a path of quiet power, deep peace, and unshakable alignment. When you stop chasing, explaining, proving, or reacting, you begin creating, evolving, rising, and manifesting. Everything begins to fall into place, not because you forced it, but because you became aligned with who you were meant to be. So, if you've been feeling overwhelmed, unheard, or off track, maybe it's time to step back, go quiet, and go inward. Your silence holds power. Your self-focus holds the key. Trust that. Live that. And watch everything transform. Let's look at a few real-life examples where silence and self-focus transformed lives. Steve Jobs was known for his periods of retreat and reflection. During his hiatus from Apple, he didn't publicly complain or explain, he built Next and Pixar quietly. When the time was right, he returned, and the rest is history. Maya Angelou once said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." But she also understood the discipline of timing. Her silence was her strength. When she spoke or wrote, the world listened. You. Think about a time in your life when you pulled away from drama, focused on your goals, and stayed low-key. Didn't things start aligning? That was your power in action. These examples show us that you don't always need to shout your progress. Let your presence and your results speak for you. Spiritual benefits of silence. In almost every spiritual tradition, whether it's Buddhism, Sufism, Christianity, or Zen, silence and solitude are seen as gateways to higher wisdom. Why? Because when the noise dies down, your soul speaks. You begin to hear divine guidance. You feel connected to something greater than yourself. In silence, your intuition sharpens. Your soul feels lighter. You experience the present moment deeply. You begin to receive answers to questions you've held for years. Silence is not just a mental break, it's a spiritual reset. What you learn in the quiet. When you embrace quiet moments, you start uncovering deep truths. Who you truly are when no one is watching. What you genuinely want, free of others' expectations. What pain you've been avoiding. What healing you need to do. The quiet can be uncomfortable at first. But that's because it's honest. The silence shows you your wounds and your worth. And when you face it all bravely, you come out stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. Becoming unbothered. One of the most underrated superpowers is becoming unbothered. Not cold. Not indifferent. Just unattached to things that don't serve you. When you focus on yourself, you realize. Not every insult needs a response. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every situation is your responsibility to fix. This mindset gives you emotional freedom. People can talk, situations can shift, but your peace stays intact. Being unbothered is the fruit of self-focus and silence. The power of letting them wonder. There's something powerful about people not knowing what you're up to. Let them wonder. How you're so calm. What you're building in silence, why you're glowing, where your energy comes from. Mystery is magnetic. When you're not constantly updating others or defending your journey, you reclaim your mystique. Let your absence be louder than your presence. Let your results be your explanation. When you focus on yourself, you become your own accountability partner. You wake up early without announcing it. You eat clean without posting it. You train hard without bragging. You heal without broadcasting. This is where real transformation happens. In the quiet, in the dark, when no one's clapping. That's where you build character. And when the time is right, people will see the glow, but they won't know the grind. That's the power of private discipline. Emotional alchemy. Focusing on yourself and staying silent also helps you master emotional alchemy, the ability to take pain, frustration, or rejection and turn it into fuel. You don't vent on social media. You don't lash out. You don't spiral. You transmute the emotion. Anger becomes focus. Sadness becomes healing. Rejection becomes redirection. You become the alchemist of your own energy. And that's how you rise gracefully and quietly. Living for yourself. At some point, you stop living for applause, validation, attention, approval. You start living for you, your peace, your goals, your joy. You wear what you want. You say less. You protect your energy. You walk away from anything that doesn't align. This is not selfish, it's self-honoring. When you start living for yourself, the right people, opportunities, and outcomes start finding you. How to respond when provoked. Even when you choose silence, life will test you. People will provoke you, insult you, doubt you, betray you. How do you respond? With silence. Let your dignity speak. With distance. Let your absence be your answer. With elevation. Focus on rising, not reacting. Never argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. Let them talk. Let them think what they want. You know who you are, and that's enough. Manifesting through energy, not effort. Here's the secret: when you focus on yourself, you naturally raise your vibration. You feel better. You look better. You attract better, and manifestation doesn't always require hustle, it requires harmony. When your inner world is aligned, your outer world starts matching it. You don't force things into place. You allow them to fall into place. Through energy. Through intention. Through quiet alignment. The power of observation. Silence teaches you to observe instead of react. And when you observe, you see the truth. Who's real? Who drains you? Who respects you? What patterns need to be broken? You learn to study people, energies, and environments without judgment. You start making moves based on wisdom, not impulse. Observation is a silent superpower. The more you watch, the more you know. The more you know, the better you move. By the time you've truly embodied this mindset, you're no longer the same person. You've transformed. From loud to calm. From reactive to intentional. From externally focused to internally rich. From scattered to solid. You've built something rare in today's world: inner peace. And once you taste it, you'll never give it up for anything or anyone. Because you've learned. The quieter you become, the clearer life becomes. The more you focus on yourself, the more everything else aligns. Closing thoughts. This isn't a phase. It's a lifelong philosophy. A way of moving, thinking, living. It's about understanding your worth so deeply that you don't need to chase, beg, or prove. It's about creating in silence, healing in solitude, and rising with grace. So, if you take anything away from this, let it be this. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. Trust the process. Protect your peace. Move in purpose. And watch how everything, without force, without noise, begins to fall perfectly into place. In today's world, silence is often mistaken for weakness, awkwardness, or emotional distance. But here's the truth: most people can't handle silence because silence confronts them with themselves. When the noise stops, the truth rises. The unresolved pain. The inner chaos. The buried fears. The hidden insecurities. This is why people fill their lives with distractions. Constant scrolling. Endless talking. Noise. But the few who choose silence, they're choosing to face themselves. To clean their inner house. To become whole again. Choosing depth over noise. When you focus on yourself, you begin choosing depth over noise in every area of life. Deep conversations over small talk. Deep healing over surface distractions. Deep purpose over shallow popularity. You stop needing to be everywhere. With everyone. All the time. You'd rather be alone in peace than surrounded in noise. You'd rather grow in silence than perform for applause. And in that space, you attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that match your depth. Cultivating self-trust. Focusing on yourself builds one of the most powerful inner tools, self-trust.
When you stop outsourcing decisions, when you stop asking everyone what you should do, you begin learning to trust your own intuition.
You know when to speak and when to stay quiet. When to walk away and when to stay. What aligns and what drains. Who is for you and who is just curious. Silence is where this self-trust grows. It's where your inner voice becomes louder than the world's opinions. When you start focusing inward, something unexpected happens, your circle gets smaller. And that's okay. You begin to outgrow gossip. Outgrow complaining. Outgrow draining connections. Outgrow superficial relationships. You're not better than anyone, you're just focused. And focus requires solitude. It requires boundaries. It requires silence. As you evolve silently, people begin to notice. You smile more, but speak less. You're present, but not overly available. You support, but don't entertain nonsense. You glow, but don't brag. They'll wonder what changed. What happened? How you became so calm, so focused, so different. But the truth is simple, you stopped giving your power away, and started pouring it into yourself. Let your work speak for you. Silence isn't passive, it's productive. When you go quiet, your energy goes into creation. Building that business. Healing your body. Writing that book. Sharpening your skills. Evolving your mind. The louder you are about your plans, the less energy you have to execute them. But when you build in silence, your work speaks for you. And it speaks clearly, confidently, and powerfully. Focusing on yourself and staying silent doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or stop communicating. It means you choose where, when, and with whom to share. You learn to journal instead of vent. Pray instead of panic. Pause instead of react. Process instead of explode. Silence is not repression, it's refinement. You still express, but from a place of clarity, not chaos. From peace, not pain, detachment is power. You begin to master detachment. Not because you don't care, but because you care about your peace more than drama. You love, but you don't cling. You support, but you don't save. You serve, but you don't self-sacrifice. You learn to observe without reacting. To hold space without losing yourself. To let go without guilt. And this detachment? It makes you free. Untouchable. Unbothered. Unshakable. Being seen without seeking. You stop trying to be seen. And that's when you're truly noticed. When your energy is grounded, your presence is magnetic. You no longer need to chase connections or demand attention. You simply are. And that being speaks louder than any performance. It's the quiet confidence. The still strength. The rooted energy that people feel when you walk in a room. You're no longer loud. You're undeniable. The long game. Silence and self-focus teach you to play the long game. You're no longer chasing quick wins, clout, or shortcuts. You're building legacy, depth, and true inner wealth. And yes, it takes time. But while others burn out chasing trends, you're rooted. Steady. Aligned. The long game is slow. But it's also sustainable, meaningful, and real. It's the game of true transformation. The kind that lasts a lifetime. At some point in your journey, you stop chasing highs, noise, or validation. You just want peace. Peace in your mind. Peace in your heart. Peace in your space. Peace in your relationships. And to protect it, you start saying no more often. You exit conversations early. You leave texts on read. You walk away from gossip, drama, and energy leeches. You're not cold, you're clear. Because once you taste peace, chaos becomes unbearable. Giving without losing yourself. When you're focused and silent, you start giving from overflow, not emptiness. You realize you can help people without overextending. You can love people without losing boundaries.
You can support others without silencing your own needs.
You stop trying to be everything for everyone.
You stop pouring from a drained cup.
You become intentional with your energy.
And in doing so, your presence becomes stronger and more sacred.
Everything aligns in the stillness. Silence clears the noise.
Focus sharpens the vision.
And then, alignment happens. Things you used to chase start flowing to you. The right people. The right moments. The right opportunities. The right answers.
Not because you're doing more, but because you're finally in sync with yourself.
You're living in flow, not force. This is the magic of inner work.
It shifts your frequency, and the world starts responding.
Becoming your future self now.
In silence and solitude, you meet your future self, the version of you who already has what you're working toward.
And you begin asking, how do they think? How do they move? What do they tolerate? What do they ignore? What do they focus on?
Then you start embodying that version now.
That's how time collapses.
That's how alignment accelerates. You become /him/them in energy before the results show up.
Embracing being misunderstood. Focusing on yourself and staying quiet means many people won't get you anymore. They'll say, you've changed. You're distant. You think you're better. And that's okay. You are not here to explain your evolution to people who only understood your past version. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Growth often looks like distance. Healing often looks like silence. Evolution often looks like isolation. But trust, it's all alignment. Minimalism of the mind.
As you focus inward, you begin decluttering not just your life, but your mind.
You drop overthinking, people-pleasing, comparison, excess noise, mental clutter. You stop replaying old wounds. You release obsessive timelines. You stop overanalyzing every situation.
You replace noise with presence.
Busyness with stillness. Scattered thoughts with clarity. This is mental minimalism. And it changes everything. The sacredness of solitude. Silence brings you into solitude. And solitude brings you into intimacy with your soul. In solitude, you remember.
The more you focus on yourself, the less you feel the need to announce yourself.
You don't have to explain your value. Your energy speaks before you do. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to impress you. I'm at peace with myself. I've done the work. And that energy is powerful. It walks into the room first.
It builds trust without a word. It shifts spaces without trying. That's the energy of someone who's done the inner work.
The quiet ones build empires.
Make no mistake, the quiet ones aren't passive.
They're focused. They're not talking, they're building. They're not posting, they're planning. They're not seeking, they're becoming. While others chase attention, the silent ones chase excellence. They know empires aren't built in the spotlight, they're built in private discipline and relentless self-focus. So if you've been quiet lately, you're probably leveling up.